It's a no-brainer for me, but for a while there I was criticized as being the vice president for torture.
We do not condone torture.
We do not torture. Footnote, as we define torture, which means exactly what we wish it to mean and nothing else.
In the elections of 2006, the Bush administration openly campaigned for harsh techniques the rest of the world defined as torture. Bush and Cheney played on the fears of voters and politicians. If Congress didn't give them the power to do whatever was necessary, how could Americans be safe?
In addition to the terrorists held at Guantanamo, a small number of suspected terrorist leaders and operatives captured during the war have been held and questioned outside the United States in a separate program operated by the Central Intelligence Agency. Some ask, why are you acknowledging this program now? Some believe our military and intelligence personnel involved in capturing and questioning terrorists could now be at risk of prosecution under the War Crimes Act, simply for doing their jobs in a thorough and professional way. This is unacceptable.
The president was forced to disclose his secret CIA program when the Supreme Court acted to limit his wartime powers. In the historic Hamdan decision, the court ruled that interrogations and trials of terrorists would be governed by the Geneva Conventions.
This debate is occurring because of the Supreme Court's ruling that said that we must conduct ourselves under the Common Article 3 of the Geneva Convention. And that Common Article 3 says that, there will be no outrages upon human dignity. It's very vague. What does that mean?
Do you believe that the use of testimony, which is obtained through techniques such as waterboarding, stress positions, intimidating use of military dogs, sleep deprivation, sensory deprivation, forced nudity, would be consistent with Common Article 3?
Well, sir, I think most importantly, I can't imagine that such testimony would be reliable.
Mr. Attorney General, do you believe that statements obtained through illegal, inhumane treatment which should be admissible?
Senator, well, again, I'll say this. The concern that I would have about such a prohibition is, what does it mean, how you define it?
And who would define it? The Bush administration introduced a new law that would elude the restrictions of the Supreme Court.
In a legal sense, I think they wanted to discard the Constitution, and they wanted to write a new one. But you can't do that, so what you do is you throw a new interpretation on the old one. And the new interpretation is the executive in wartime, and perhaps this war is going to last forever, is all-powerful.
Congress gave the president most of what he wanted. He would agree to abide by the Geneva Conventions, so long as he could define their meaning and application. A few detainees at Guantanamo might be put on trial, but the rest would no longer have access to habeas corpus, the fundamental legal right to challenge their detention. Planning a run for president, even Senator McCain voted for the bill, soon after the Bush administration threatened to discredit him with conservative voters.
Buried deep inside this legislation is a provision that will pardon President Bush and all the members of his administration of any possible crimes connected with the torture and mistreatment of detainees, dated all the way back to September 11, 2001. At least President Nixon had Gerald Ford to do his dirty work. President Bush is trying to pardon himself.
The pardon did not extend to frontline soldiers.
The trial was a very confusing time for me because I've never been through trial before. I didn't know what was really going on. I kind of just understood that, I was facing a lot of time in jail. That's the only thing I really understood about the whole thing.
Well, I was sent to jail, went to a military correctional facility. I've lost my full-time job. I have a bad conduct discharge, which has hindered me in getting a new job in the same field. I have, financially, it's just devastated me.
I'm just glad it's over. That's it. Glad I can get on with my life.
I had to plead guilty to assault and 2 counts of dereliction of duty. In exchange, they'd say that I could go to jail for no more than 4 months.
Rather than spend the money that was being spent for that trial, I think it could have been better spent in working on Army doctrine to make sure that other people go into battle properly equipped, properly led, and with a full understanding as to what their new roles and responsibilities are.
When a detainee is abused, or a detainee claims abuse, they want somebody to take the fall for it. And it's not going to be the person with eagles or stars on their shoulder.
No